Thing I knew, there was this knock at my car window, and it was the badge, and they took me to jail.
As soon as I realized it was the badge knocking on my car window, I was taken to jail. Everyone worked with Johnny Cash, Waylon Jenning, Kris Kristofferson, Willie Nelson, and even Bob Dylan. However, he drew a line after one spectacular night. He had been friends with a celebrity he declined to collaborate with again. They shared stages, went on tour together, and then the betrayal arrived, was personal, and had nothing to do with fame or fortune. Cash kept the name to himself. Silently, he erased all the pictures, all the recordings, all the memories. His band understood why. His family was aware of the reason. But up until today, the truth has remained hidden. On February 26, 1932, Johnny Cash was born in Kingsland, Arkansas, a small hamlet. J.R. was his true name. Money. During the Great Depression, Ray and Carrie Rivers Cash, his parents, were struggling cotton farmers. One of the most difficult periods in American history was this one. Families like the Cashes frequently didn't have enough to eat. The economy had crashed, and jobs had disappeared. Johnny's life was influenced by poverty and adversity from the beginning. Every meal was important. Every dime was taken into account. His music had a profound, genuine power that people sensed in every word he sang because of these early hardships. Johnny's family relocated to Diaz, Arkansas, when he was 3 years old. This action was a component of President Roosevelt's New Deal policy, which was designed to assist low-income families. The Cashes received 20 acres of farmland and a modest 5-room home. Diaz was a difficult place to live. The family put forth a lot of work, long days working in the cotton fields. They had an opportunity, and that opportunity was crucial. Johnny learned about fortitude, loss, and the importance of optimism from his upbringing in Diaz, where he was surrounded by families that were struggling to survive. He would never forget any of this, and it would give his songs significance. His mother, Carrie, taught him gospel hymns and folk tunes at home. These tunes became into the centerpiece of Johnny's repertoire. They were more than just songs. In times of darkness, they provided light, consoled, and recounted stories. Johnny adored these songs' profound feelings and straightforward yet impactful lyrics. His voice and style were influenced by the lessons he acquired at his mother's side. Even in his early years, the harsh reality of his surroundings gave his music a depth that set it apart. Johnny never forgot what occurred to him when he was 12 years old. Jack, his older brother, suffered severe injuries in a sawmill accident. A week after his injuries, Jack passed away. Johnny was devastated. He cherished Jack and admired him. To make matters worse, their father accused Johnny of being apart from Jack at the time. Johnny carried the loss, the guilt, and the grief with him throughout his life. His compositions about grief, remorse, and the pursuit of peace reflected these emotions. Johnny turned to music as an escape. He sang for neighbors, at school, and at church. Despite his family's financial difficulties, his music was gospel, as well as any narrative tune. People listened to him because of his sincere manner and rich voice. These modest beginnings prepared the way for his future and aided in his development as a performer. Johnny joined the U.S. at the age of 18. Air Force. During the Cold War, he served for 4 years. Primarily in Germany. He was responsible for decoding Morse code and listening to Soviet radio signals. It was challenging, hard work. Johnny was the first American to learn about Soviet leader Joseph Stalin's passing in March 1953. Up the line, he sent the news to President Eisenhower. It's nearly impossible to imagine the future man wearing black headphones in a quiet room, hearing the news that will change the world before anybody else does. Johnny spent only $5 in his first guitar while he was stationed in Germany. He was responsible for decoding Morse code and listening to Soviet radio signals. It was challenging, hard work. Johnny was the first American to learn about Soviet leader Joseph Stalin's passing in March 1953. Up the line, he sent the news to President Eisenhower. It's nearly impossible to imagine the future man wearing black headphones in a quiet room, hearing the news that will change the world before anybody else does. Johnny spent only $5 in his first guitar while he was stationed in Germany. He started a band named the Landsberg Barbarians with a few mates. They performed on the radio and at military dances. Johnny also began to write songs. Folsom Prison Blues was one of them. After watching a movie about the prison, he penned it. It's rolling around the corner, that famous statement, "I hear the train a-comin'," originated from those alone evenings abroad. By 1954, when he retired from the military as a staff sergeant, Johnny had already achieved his goals. He had a drive, a style, and tunes that were unstoppable. Johnny Cash returned to civilian life with nothing but ambition and a restless heart after serving in the U.S. Air Force from 1950 to 1954. He made Memphis, Tennessee, his home. Although there was a lot of music in the city, young veterans like him found little solace in it. He accepted a job at a car plant, but it didn't feel fulfilling. Soon after, he resigned. Then, in the intense heat, he tried selling kitchenware and vacuums door to door. Everywhere he went, rejection followed. His art was shaped by all of this adversity, even though he often returned home broke and with his pride crushed. He developed a profound empathy for the working poor as a result of his hardships. His music would later stand out because of such unfiltered empathy. Johnny's life altered by 1955. He plucked up the nerve to try out for Sam Phillips at Sun Records because he was desperate to get out of low-paying jobs. It was the same location where Jerry Lee Lewis and Elvis Presley were first introduced. Sam wanted something different, so Johnny started off singing church music. Taking up his guitar, Johnny performed his stark, eerie sound with the Tennessee Two. Sam listened to songs like Hey Porter. Johnny was signed that day. He joined the rock and country movement right away. He would become known for his minimalist approach, which was unlike anything else on the charts. Johnny put out the songs that would make him famous between 1955 and 1956. Sob, sob, sob. His strong voice and straightforward songs were first heard by the globe through Hey Porter and Folsom Prison Blues. Only a snare drum, a guitar, and a bass. The lyric, "I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die," from Folsom Prison Blues startled listeners. The candor touched a nerve. I Walk the Line followed in 1956. The song peaked at number 1 and remained on the country charts for 43 weeks. It even made the transition to pop, peaking at number 17. Fans felt as though Johnny was singing their lives because of his unique blend of strength and sensitivity. Johnny Cash was the most well-known figure in country and Western music by 1957. All his records sold out. His dedication was what set him apart. He performed for the underprivileged, the misfits, the imprisoned. He wrote songs about men in prison, factory workers, and railroad workers. His songs resonated with people's own struggles. He became into more than just a singer. He represented hope. He was straightforward on stage. The lines that opened each concert were the same. "Hi there, this is Johnny Cash." He performed Folsom Prison Blues after that. For others who felt forgotten, the man in black sang without any ostentatious gestures. His performances were like get-togethers of like-minded people. At the age of 26, Johnny relocated his family to California in 1958. In an attempt to get into the film industry, he paid $75,000 for Johnny Carson's home in Encino. However, he was already having problems with his marriage to Vivian. It was not helped by the transfer. The demands and temptations of Hollywood only made matters worse. His movie aspirations failed. His family life became tense and isolating. He moved once more by 1961 in search of tranquility, but his problems followed him to Casita Springs. At this point, Johnny's personal life started to go south. Lori Collins, a 16-year-old vocalist, became his friend. As a reminder of the controversy that had all but destroyed Jerry Lee Lewis, their friendship sparked rumors and anxiety. Friends intervened and cautioned Johnny about the danger, but his carelessness only increased. In 1956, it all began with a few tablets. Johnny was worn out from touring non-stop. He was given what appeared to be aspirin-like tablets. They included amphetamines. The drugs gave him an uncontrollable feeling that night. He quickly became enamored. He was initially kept going by the medications, but they also started to control him. He was taking them on a regular basis by 1957. Barbiturates were used to aid in his descent. Once a blessing, the medicines turned into his curse. Johnny's marriage fell apart as his addiction worsened. Vivian made an effort to keep the family together, but she was broken by Johnny's erratic conduct and protracted absences. The gap between them grew since she never felt included in his musical world. Johnny Cash was arrested 7 times between 1959 and 1968. They were wild and varied charges. He was arrested for narcotics possession, careless driving, and public intoxication. But in Starkville, Mississippi, one of the most bizarre arrests took place. The date was May 11, 1965. Cash was intoxicated and roving the streets at 2 in the morning following a performance at Mississippi State University. He was seen collecting flowers in someone's yard by a police officer. Although it seems innocuous, he was arrested for trespassing and disorderly conduct because of how disturbing his actions were. The situation worsened in the prison cell. He damaged a $40 shoe and injured his toe when he kicked the door so forcefully. He was so troubled by the incident that he later used it as the inspiration for the song Starkville City Jail. Later that year, Cash was arrested in his most well-known case. It happened in El Paso, Texas, on October 4, 1965. He had just arrived from Juarez, Mexico, where he had gone to purchase inexpensive amphetamines. At the airport, he was stopped by U.S. drug officers. He was suspected of transporting drugs. Instead, they discovered that his guitar case contained a total of 475 Equinol tablets and 678 Dexedrine tablets. Fans were taken aback by the image of Johnny Cash, the black-clad man in handcuffs. He was crushed in jail that night. "I'm too weak to face everyone, so I just want to stay here and die," he subsequently acknowledged. Vivian, his wife, hurried to El Paso to help him. Ultimately, Cash received a $1,000 fine and a suspended sentence because the pills were prescribed medications. However, the harm to his reputation was already done. His reputation as an outlaw only got stronger. Cash was responsible for one of the worst catastrophes of his life on June 27, 1965, a few months prior. While fishing in California's Los Padres National Forest, he was intoxicated. The dry brush caught fire due to either a malfunctioning exhaust system in his camper or an unattended campfire. 3 mountains and 508 acres were destroyed. As the flames spread quickly, 49 of the remaining 53 California condors, one of the world's most endangered birds, perished in the fire. Initially attempted to avoid accountability. To avoid attending a court session, he even pretended to be ill. But he was confronted by the truth. He was fined $82,001, which at the time was a huge amount. The damage didn't appear to bother him. "I don't care about your damn yellow buzzards," he stated in response to a question concerning the deceased condors. His reputation was further damaged by his icy comment. Not all jail nights were spent causing havoc. At times, it was simply odd. Shared a cell with a massive lumberjack who didn't think he was Johnny Cash once in Carson City, Nevada. The man became irate and menacing. Singing his tunes all night long helped to soothe him. The lumberjack soon dozed off, but he never believed him. Cash escaped injury over the night. Johnny Cash's life had collapsed by 1967. His world had been overtaken by the drugs he used to cope with the pressures of touring. His body started to fail since he ingested so many barbiturates and amphetamines. He could hardly sing since his throat became so dry and damaged. His voice was gone. Therefore, he had to postpone recording sessions and performances. He described himself as a walking death vision. It was more than simply words. He appeared thin, frail, and crazy to his buddies, but many assumed it was nerves. Few saw the extent of his drug-induced death. Cash continued to wind up in jail and hospitals. Now, the man who was renowned for his fiery songs and powerful voice was on the verge of losing everything. He reached the end of his hope in October 1967. He felt isolated, broken, and certain that nobody was interested anymore. He was devastated by the agony of the medications, the shame of disappointing others, and the terror of never singing again. He expressed his desire to avoid another sunrise in his book. This was not a depressing time. He had made up his mind to die. His wealth and notoriety were now irrelevant. He went to Nickajack Cave because he thought that the only way out was to die. Outlaws were known to hide in this gloomy, never-ending network of tunnels close to the Tennessee River. According to others, the cave extended as far as Alabama, beneath the mountains. Planned everything. He desired to scuttle so far down that no one would discover him. He would turn off his flashlight and remain there till the cave turned into his tomb. He spent hours crawling and walking. He lay down in the dark and waited for the end when his light finally went out. However, something occurred while he laid there. He felt his grief subside in the darkness and silence. He no longer felt the loneliness that had plagued him. He sensed the presence of God. Cash understood that he had no influence over his demise. At God's time, he would depart from this earth, not his own. He felt that God had arrived for him, despite the fact that he had never prayed before. His power came from that concept. He chose to follow the gentle breeze that he sensed. He crawled slowly back to the entrance. He saw light once more and survived what seemed like an eternity. June Carter and his mother were there when he emerged from that cave. Sensing that something was amiss, they had come in search of him. Cash explained the situation to them. He pledged to stop taking the medicines. That day turned out to be pivotal. He checked himself into a recovery facility. In order to persevere through the agony of withdrawal, he turned to his Christian faith. He was clean by November 11th, 1967. For the first time in more than a decade, he performed without alcohol. In 1956, June Carter and Johnny Cash met backstage at the Grand Ole Opry. The spark ignited immediately. At the time, they were both married, June to Edwin Rip Nix and Cash to Vivian Liberto, with whom he had 4 daughters. A strong physical attraction quickly evolved into something more profound. Their love of music and common Christian beliefs united them, but their relationship was anything but straightforward. It was a time of intense emotional fluctuations, guilt, and concealment. It was made more difficult by Cash's increasing drug use, his never-ending touring, and the public's unceasing scrutiny. June, vivacious and gregarious, became his mentor amid the chaos of celebrity. Although their intimacy harmed their families, Cash, who was modest and reserved, relied on her strength. Once concealed, the incident gradually came to light. It was heartbreaking, particularly for their kids. In the 1960s, the pressures increased along with Cash's notoriety. The tours appeared to go on forever. The cameras were never far away. Cash found it all difficult. The pressures overwhelmed him, and he detested the limelight. His lifeblood was June. She managed the confusion. She sustained him. She even saved him after a horrific vehicle accident that left him with a shattered nose and missing teeth, as well as during drug overdoses. But the cost of their relationship was high. Unable to handle the deception and the devastation brought on by drugs, Vivian filed for divorce in 1966. For years, their daughters carried the burden. Despite everything, Cash and June's relationship simply got stronger. They got married in 1968. Their lifelong friendship would forever alter both of their paths. An important turning point was their marriage. When they exchanged vows on March 1968, it was the beginning of Cash's rebirth, and wasn't only about love. June's unwavering support enabled him to overcome his obstacles. He found the strength to maintain his sobriety and repair his reputation with her by his side, singing duets like Jackson and It Ain't Me Babe, and presenting the Johnny Cash program. They lit up the stage together. Fans sensed their genuineness and observed their chemistry. Cash became the guy in black, a representation of the underprivileged and forgotten, thanks in part to June. The movie Walk the Line subsequently recounted their legendary love tale. It transformed Cash into a cultural figure renowned for his compassion and tenacity, transforming him from a fading star